Good on people, we are Tottenham TV, and if you haven't heard by now, Vicario has undergone surgery, and it's just so classic Tottenham, isn't it? We can't have nice things on the back of an amazing victory where Vicario was, definitely putting his best display in a Spurs shirt. It looks as though he has undergone surgery and he's going to be out for a number of months moving forward into this season. It's just so frustrating, isn't it?
It's gutting. It's a massive blow, just off the back of arguably his best game in a Tottenham shirt as well, away at Man City. It's crazy to think when you watch back that game now, given the new context of that game, he played about an hour with a fractured ankle, which is crazy to think about, considering how amazing he was, especially in the second half as well, and the saves he was making. Not only that, the way he was coming to collect crosses, how strong he was being as well. And you now consider he did all of that with a fractured ankle, pretty much. It's very Sonny against Villa vibes, where he got a brace with a broken arm and scored a last-minute winner, and then he was ruled out for 3 months then the following day. Obviously, it's a massive blow, and can't underestimate that, because he's such an important part of how we build up, his sweeper keeping. And he's unbelievable shot stopper, probably one of the best in the Premier League at shot stopping. So the fact he's going to be missing for 3 months, just all that positivity from that City game, it's a massive blow. And to happen so quickly after that, and apparently it's taken all the players and the coaching staff by surprise, because they didn't think his injury was going to be that bad. But we were watching the game in the stadium, and we saw, didn't we, when he went down, he obviously was down for a while, and then when we had a throw in, I can't remember if it was Ben Davies or a doggy, but he was about to throw it back to him, and he went like, no, don't throw it back to me. And then he was limping for a bit, and we were both saying, oh God, this guy, he looks done. He looks like you got to get him off because he can't stand straight. And he seemed to run it off. And, I thought maybe at half time, will they assess it? He came back out. He looked absolutely fine. In fact, not just fine, he was brilliant. And now we're hearing the news, out for 3 months or a number of months.
He was limping after the game, and I was quite worried when I saw that in the stadium. When I saw the pictures on social media as well, I was definitely worried when I saw him limping after the game, because you would have thought if he would have brushed off an injury, the limp wouldn't have been there after the game. So I did think an injury was coming. I just didn't think it was going to be as bad as this. This is gutting news. And it's just classic Spurs, isn't it? Like, after such a big performance, terrible news has to follow after that. We just can't have nice things here at Tottenham, which is the most frustrating thing about it. But obviously, our thoughts are with Big Vic at this moment in time, and I hope he makes a speedy recovery. But let's look at the way that Spurs broke the news, because it just took many people by surprise last night. What time was it? It was like 7:30 at night. They say, we can confirm that Vicario has today undergone surgery for a fracture of his right ankle. Guglielmo will be assessed by our medical staff to determine when he can return back to training. We're all with you, Big Vic. And then Vicario took to social media as well, and he says, sometimes football gives you its highs, and sometimes it challenges you in ways that you don't expect. I played for 60 minutes at the Etihad with a broken ankle, giving absolutely everything I had for the team. Unfortunately, there was no way around this one. I needed surgery. I'm disappointed I won't be able to help the team for a while, which is very frustrating. Makes me think, like, if this is the extent of the injury, surely he would have been assessed or checked at half time. Like, what is that all about?
Obviously, I don't know the processes they go through, but some fans are suggesting, the swelling around the ankle might have prevented them from actually seeing what was the damage caused, and preventing them from seeing a break. And the fact that he was able to continue, probably they probably felt like it couldn't have been a break, because he wouldn't be able to stand on it if it was a break. But clearly they wrapped him up and they gave him painkillers, and he was just able to power through it somehow with adrenaline and whatnot. And he was putting in such a good performance. Someone would probably thinking at that point, how are you putting in that performance if your ankle's broken or fractured? So I think it was a superhuman effort from Vic to get through that, but clearly a massive oversight from the medical team, which is a massive shame. I wonder how much worse he did make it if he would have gone off immediately. Was it something that turned into a fracture because he kept putting pressure on it and he carried on, or was it fractured immediately from that challenge, I think, from Savio at the time? So I guess we'll never know at this point, but yeah, it's just a massive blow because he's been so consistent and so good for us. I know he's had his critics this season, but definitely of late, and definitely since the Arsenal game, I think he's been really, really consistent and really good. And he makes so many important saves and so many key moments. And especially that City game, he was just outstanding, wasn't he? One of the best keeping performances, I think, this season. So it's going to be a tall order, big shoes to fill for Big Fraser. He's a big bloke, but yeah, we'll have to hope he can fill in.
Yeah, we got a bloody hope. So a couple of messages from the team in support of Vic on Instagram. A doggy says, "We'll be waiting for you, brother." Solanke with just a couple of white heart emojis. Richarlison says, "Stay strong," or "strong, bro." Italy's national team just give some bicep emojis. Dejan Kulusevski, a heart emoji. Pedro Porro, Vamos, Venom, Forza. And Madders says, "Back soon, brother." It's just so frustrating. And this is the image that he put up on social media today saying day one. And it's definitely going to be day one of many in terms of recovery. This was from the Mail. They said that Tottenham were already considering strengthening their goalkeeping department at the end of the season, and plans could now be accelerated in the light of Vicario's injury. Spurs were stunned by the news that Vicario had suffered an injury serious enough to require surgery, given that the players seemed to have shaken off pain to carry on in the first half and beyond.
I mean, yeah, it better be accelerated, put it that way, because January, there's so many. I mean, look, we're going to have to get through this next month. We've got 10 games between now and January, but I really hope we have someone lined up literally for the start, and I don't want to see us dawdling in the window because we know what we need. We've, we were linked with a few keepers in the summer, weren't we? We didn't obviously push the button on them, but now it's become a necessity because you can't see Vicario's not going to be back probably before February, March time. So, that's a lot of games and big games as well. There might be some Europa League knockout games there. There might be, there's obviously going to be Carabao Cup games. We might be out of the Carabao Cup by the time Vicario's back, but if we're not, we're going to have some big games there and some FA Cup games. And so
I think the Carabao Cup will probably be over by the time he's back.
Yeah, I don't know when's the final. I don't know.
It's usually end of Feb.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm not sure when it might be over, but yeah, so we're going to need a keeper we can rely on. And I think Fraser, when he stepped in this season, he's made some saves, but I just think his overall play has just been shaky, hasn't it? Dropping crosses. And
it's all right, Fraser, for the odd game here and there, but to have to rely on him week in, week out in pretty much every competition now, it's just a massive kick in the face. It really is. And we need someone that can step in, that can actually dive to low crosses. I mean, I don't have too much problems with the way Fraser stepped in so far. But to have him week in, week out, it's just a massive drop-off in quality when you're looking at Vicario to Fraser Forster. And we were just talking off air, weren't we, in terms of an injury there's no other injury that's had that much of a drop-off in quality in the squad.
Yeah. The only other one maybe you can say is Destiny, because we don't really have a backup left-back, but obviously Spence has been all right when he's come in. So, yeah, I think obviously it was one of the positions in the summer we were saying we should probably... definitely sign because we needed a backup keeper. Obviously we had other priorities. There wasn't one we were like going crazy about, but it was still one which we definitely thought needed to happen, and now we've been punished for it. It was one of the positions we neglected to improve, and now we've paid the price, and now we're going to have to play Forster. But look, on the flip side, it's not like he's not like a Premier League experienced keeper. He's had a lot of experience in the Premier League. He's played Champions League many times. I know he's getting on now, but he knows it's not like he doesn't know these competitions. He hasn't played in big games before, and so there's that. And he can make big saves. He's a big bloke, and as well, I kind of get the feeling like, how Gary Neville was saying, before like a big game like the City game on the weekend, that anxiety and that kind of feeling before a big game almost elevates that concentration, because you've always got that feeling it's a big game, and that's why we maybe defended so as well as we did, and we were like so fully focused and concentrated in that game. And maybe this injury, I'm not saying it's a positive thing, but maybe you'll have the defenders on the pitch will then have that feeling like they can't rely on Vicario to bail us out. We have to defend properly, and we have to make sure that we're protecting Fraser a bit more, and maybe that would lead us to tightening up a bit. Whereas before, I kind of got the feeling sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes we just relied too much on Vicario to make a big save.
I like the thinking. I like the positivity, but I just I can't see it, to be honest, because we just look. I get what you're saying. Maybe they'll up their game, but it's a long stretch of games. You're talking about 2 to 3 months, if not beyond. So it's a long time. I think if it's the odd game, I think that can definitely be a case. But when Ange asks you to play the way that we do, playing out the back as well, where Vicario is so much stronger than someone like Forster. I think Forster's pretty bad at playing out the back. Like it will just hamper our whole play, and we do concede a lot of shots on a regular basis. And yeah, Fraser can pull off the good saves, but for me, where the biggest worry is playing out the back now with Fraser Forster, because he's literally terrible at it.
Yeah, and look, to be fair, he, coming in for the odd game as a goalkeeper is not always the easiest thing to do. Maybe give him a few games and he'll start to get a bit better at it. But the evidence we've seen so far, especially the Coventry game and some of the other games, he's made quite a few mistakes. But let's be honest, it's not like Vicario hasn't made any mistakes. So, got to give him an opportunity. But for me, obviously playing out of the back is definitely one of them. But I think it's just... he's such a big guy, Fraser. It always takes him so long to get down to low shots. I remember watching when he was coming into the team. He had that spell when Lloris, went off at half time against Newcastle a couple of years ago, and then Fraser played the last few games. And there was that one game against Brentford where we lost 3-1 at home, and they were just hitting it low past him into the corner, and he just couldn't do anything about it, even from range.
2 years ago, mate.
Yeah, and that was 2 years ago. And obviously he's had an extension since then. He's obviously last season he only played one game. That was the cup game, ironically, against Fulham, who will be coming up against on Sunday. And then this season he's played Coventry. He's played Qarabag. No, not Qarabag. Vicario played Qarabag. It was RZ and Galatasaray. And yeah, to mixed results. I think RZ he was quite good, if I remember rightly. But then Coventry was very suspect. Galatasaray, well, he made a lot of saves against Galatasaray, but again, he dropped a couple clangers as well. And I thought he could have done better with at least one of the goals as well. So I think we're just going to have to protect him even more than we protect Vicario, and that's going to be one of the main things that we focus on, and make sure that we're not allowing the same level of shots. Well, I guess we do kind of restrict a few. You say we concede a lot of shots, but at the end of the day, we're one of the lowest in the league for shots conceded. So I think that has got to be a focus, to make sure that we're protecting him a bit more than we protect Vicario, and make sure we're helping him out. But when it comes to playing out the back, I guess he's just going to have to keep it simple. He's just going to have to, we're going to have to help him there as well, because he's not a goalkeeper who, at the moment, if there's any evidence that he's like going to be able to clip a ball out to a fullback consistently or anything like that. And he's clearly not as comfortable with the ball at his feet as someone like Vicario, and that's what helps us a lot in build-up. When you have someone like Vicario, he literally becomes an extra player in our build-up. We find him a lot. So Fraser, is he going to panic and just go long a lot of the time? Is he going to be making mistakes when he's playing short passing, giving the ball away? These are all things that are yet to be determined, but we've got to work with him on it, because from what we've seen of him over the these little evidence we've seen this season, he's definitely not as good as Vicario with the ball at his feet, that's for sure.
In terms of length of the injury, the physio scout, obviously it's not anything official or anything, but they say the exact nature of the surgery and the location of the fracture is unknown, but since it's required surgery, he'll likely be out for multiple weeks, couple of months. Recovery time, typical ankle fracture is 6 to 10 weeks. No indication that it'll take longer than 10 weeks. Looked to happen in the 38th minute after Pedro Porro headed it back and soldiered on to play through the game, which just makes you think, like, we have to go and we have to get someone in January. Literally the first week of January, we need to keep it through the door. I don't know who we can go and get, but we were linked with Juan Garcia over the summer quite heavily, as well as Arsenal were as well. I don't know if they're still looking to get him. So if he's a player that they've looked at and they think that he can, really fight Vicario for that number 1 jersey, then go get him in the first week of January. He's at Espanyol.
Yeah, and we needed someone in the summer already. We knew we needed number 2. So I'm assuming and I'm hoping that we've already compiled a list, because we had that list in the summer. So I agree, those moves should already be made, and we should be ready to go come January. I don't want us to see us floundering, come January, and then we're getting to deadline day, and are we going to get a keeper? Are we not? And all these questions. Like, we need to be prepared for this window because it's imperative. I was just looking at the calendar, and let's say it is 10 weeks that he's out for. That takes you to the 4th of Feb. So maybe you could be looking at mid-Feb for a return potentially, if 10 weeks is the 4th.
Yeah, that's probably best case scenario as well.
Yeah, best case. Maybe we'll see if he heals quickly or not. But maybe Valentine's Day could be a good target for him. But yeah, and I don't know when. Let's see when a Carabao Cup final would be this season, if we do obviously make it there. Carabao.
I think we're tempting fate here a little bit.
Cup final dates. Let's just see. Why doesn't say? 1 sec. Don't have it here. Upcoming fixtures. Oh, here round dates. 16th of March, mid-March. So that could potentially be a month after he comes back. So if we do,
let's hope we can beat Man U.
If we do make it there, look. But to be fair, as much as obviously goalkeepers are very important, I'm not trying to minimise their importance, but I don't think just having Vicario out is an excuse to go on a run of winless games. We can win games with him in goal. It's not like he's not. I know he's not as good as Vicario, but this is a keeper that's played in the Prem many years. He's an experienced goalkeeper. He's there's a reason why Ange wanted him around, because he's quite good with a lot of the players, a lot of the younger players. And I think a goalkeeper is one of those positions where if you are just doing your things correctly and you're not relying on the keeper too much, you can kind of paper over the cracks of having not as good a keeper. But obviously it's a long stretch of games, so that it's going to be hard to cover those cracks for too long. But I think it's one of those where I don't want to see us using this as an excuse to not build on this City win, because I don't think it is an excuse, in my opinion.
Yeah, look, it's not an excuse, but we've been losing games with Vicario in the team anyway. But when you're looking at the way modern football is, and particularly the way Ange Postecoglou likes to play, build out from the back, it's so important to have a keeper that can do that and that's confident at that. And to have Fraser Forster as our goalkeeper now for the next 2 months, if we don't sign one in January, that is, or at least just now, let's take it for now.
11 games.
The busy period from now until January the 1st. We've got so many games to play. It's just going to hamper our play so much. That's what I'm concerned about. I'm not too concerned about, him shot stopping or saving goals, which, look, I do have a slight concern about that. But it's mainly just the way how it's going to hamper our play and us, the way we like to play our football. That's what it is. And he's nowhere near the required level we need for that. Nowhere near.
I don't disagree with that. But we're going to have to, look, you're going to have to just adjust. You're going to have to be a bit flexible. And I don't think overcoming a shortcoming of a keeper who's playing out the back is not the best. I think is not something that should be holding you back too much, where you can't win a game because this keeper's not as good as playing out the back.
I don't think anyone's saying we can't win a game.
We have to be able to adjust to it, and I think Ange has to be able to do that, and he'll be judged on that, in my opinion. As much as I'm pinning for, I can't wait for Vicario to come back. We're going to have Fraser for the next month at least, and we're going to have to make sure he's bloody on the training ground and passing balls around, because I don't think what Vicario does, apart from the odd pass out to the fullbacks and stuff, he can go, sometimes he goes a whole game just keeping it short, and we're just going to have to allow Fraser to keep it simple. We're just going to make sure that we're always making an option for him, and maybe it means we have to go a bit longer than we do when Vicario's there, but that means Solanke, we have a striker up there who can hold the ball up, and if it means you have to go straight to Solanke a bit more than we used to, then so be it. But it could hamper our play, but hopefully it doesn't have such a detrimental effect that it means we can no longer play out the back just because Vicario is missing.
Well, I think he's going to persist with playing out the back. I don't think the Forster injury is going to make an impact into the way that Ange likes to build up and start attacks. So it's going to be a hard watch at times, but let's hope that we can come through it through the other end for sure. Matt Law says that Tottenham were already considering strengthening a goalkeeping department at the end of the season, and plans could now be accelerated in light of Vicario's injury. He also said that Tottenham was, I've been through that. Tottenham was stunned. That's about it really. But let's look at this. This is the free goalkeeping list, the goalkeepers that are out of contract at the moment. Edgar Badia, Kaylin Navas, Loris Karius, Thomas Kubek, Diego Luriero, Giban Lajude, Ahmed Reda Tagnuati or something, and Florian Iacob. And
can you filter it by international caps?
And Wayne Hennessy. Yeah, we should.
Wish it was FM. Yeah, I mean, look, the only one I guess you might consider is Keylor Navas, because last year he actually did play a few games for PSG. I was looking, and also the year before that played for Forest in the Premier League and it was actually quite important in their run of games where they stayed in the Premier League. So. I mean, that's the only one you'd consider. I don't know if his playing at the back is that much better than Fraser. I guess he played for teams at Real Madrid, but Madrid aren't like Barcelona when it comes to playing out the back or anything like that. So that's one to consider. But I don't know if we will. I think we're just going to go ahead with Forster, to be honest.
There's also obviously keepers, the younger keepers to consider as well, which I've seen a lot of people talk about with Brandon Austin, Alfie Whiteman, and Luca Gunter. I mean, Luca Gunter, I don't know what's gone on with him, because he looked phenomenal last season, but he's not playing for the under-21s this season. He's had like 4 appearances, and I'm not sure what's going on there. Maybe someone can shed some light on that in the comment section below, because he looked like a really good keeper. But if he hasn't persisted with Brandon Austin and Alfie Whiteman as a backup, then I think it is going to be Fraser.
It will definitely be Fraser, but I do wonder if one of probably Austin or Whiteman does get an opportunity in the Europa League while Vicario is out, because obviously we were not rotating, but we rotated Forster and Vicario a bit in the Europa League, and now with Vicario out, is Forster going to come out of the team for a game or two? Maybe we're looking at that. Was it Elfsborg at home? Maybe Austin can have that game, make his debut, and see what he can do there. Obviously, we've given him a long contract, and this could be an opportunity for him. Maybe.
Yeah, I think it'll be Brandon. It won't be Alfie in terms of getting minutes in the Europa League. I mean, you're definitely looking at the Elfsborg game, if Spurs are already still in the top 8 by then, to give someone else a chance. And if he actually performs in that game and impresses, maybe he can get more minutes in the Premier League.
Be interesting.
Ben Dinnery here says, no 2 injuries are the same, but as a guide, a return to play is around 3 to 4 months in the Premier League from Premier Injuries database. 4 or 5 examples of players being back from 60 to 65 days and upwards from there. Jack Butland was the last goalkeeper on record to have suffered a similar injury. Apparently he was out for 99 days.
That's 99, that's 3.5 months.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we don't know where on the scale this one lands, but yeah, I mean, clearly this is a very serious injury that can keep players out for many, many months. So, we've got to be prepared, I guess, that we might not even see him potentially until April, like the late season run-in. That's also you've got to prepare for that. There's even a slight chance we might not see him again this season if it's as bad as if it's even worse. So I think what we should do in January is plan as if he's not going to play again this season, and plan accordingly. And if he does, it's a bonus. He can come back in, but we've got to sign a keeper who we really think can step in, and I think that's the way we should be moving forward here.
Yeah. Maybe it is this Joan Garcia guy. I've never seen him play. I don't really know what he's about, but we were very interested in him in the summer. Arsenal have been heavily linked with him as well. So maybe he's a keeper that can come in. He's also 21, 22. So surely when Vic gets fit again, he'll be happy to be competition for places.
But it makes an interesting dynamic, though, because if we do bring in a keeper in January, I mean, do we release Forster? Because it does kind of, if we can't put them in the Europa League squad. All Forster, Whiteman and Austin all have to be in it. So what do we do?
I mean, the logical solution is to release Forster, or just to keep him outside the Europa League squad.
I guess it depends how he does from now to January, but are we actually going to release him mid-season? I mean, I think that's an unlikely prospect.
Well, you don't have to release him. You can just keep him in and around the squad anyway, because he's
I'm saying he has to be in the Europa League squad.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean you have to release him.
Unless we sign an English keeper.
No, I think it's just he's not homegrown. He's not club trained, is he? So it doesn't really matter. We've got enough homegrown players, don't we?
He's not club trained. No, but he's... I'm trying to remember. Who are the club trained players? We've got 3. Whiteman, Austin...
No, the club trained players we don't have enough. Homegrown players, I thought we had more than enough.
Homegrown players... Yeah, we have over 8, don't we?
Yeah. I don't think that's an issue.
Oh yeah, we could have left out Forster. Sorry, you're right. We can leave out Forster. We could have left out Forster, but leaving out Forster doesn't mean we can put this new player keeper in.
Why not?
Or does it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does. We can. Yeah. Okay, so we could do that.
Dan Kilpatrick again says that Spurs have not officially put a timeline on the return, but expectation is that his return will come after the January transfer window is closed, which could lead to Tottenham accelerating their plans to sign a new keeper. So nothing much in there, but yeah, look, it is very frustrating. It just always feels like whenever Spurs do something really good and really amazing, there's always that little thing after the game that comes and just slaps you back in the face.
Not quite little this time, but who was complaining about Forster being in the Europa League squad? It wasn't us, was it?
No.
We weren't the ones complaining, were we? It was a great decision. Great decision to leave out Spence in the end.
Oh, mate. No, it's not, because I would still like... I don't think it matters. Brandon Austin, Fraser Forster.
Well, you haven't seen Brandon.
We saw him in pre-season. He didn't look too bad.
I mean, pre-season.
Yeah.
So a couple of pre-season games. Yeah, he might be not as good as Forster.
Yeah.
Ange clearly doesn't think so.
Yeah,
Clearly
it's
thinks
true.
so.
It's true, but he signed a 5-year contract like at the beginning of the season.
Rob Greenroll.
The Rob Green role. Now, what about what's Alfie Whiteman's role then?
God, I don't know who's below Rob Green. But look, I think at the moment it's looking like a good decision probably to keep Forster in the Europa League squad.
Well, we shall see how it all pans out, but Spurs definitely need to be looking at their targets for January. We need to, in the first week of January, we need to get a keeper through the door. We just have to. 1st of January, ideally, because we've got games. We've got the North London Derby coming up the 14th of January.
Get one of those deals where you agree it now and to come in the 1st of Jan. You know, one of those.
It has to be
Get
done.
one of those
it
done.
has to be
we
done.
never do those.
You know, it'll be quite nice if
pre-agreement.
You bring in Joan Garcia, who Arsenal were trying to get as well in the summer, and he comes in, his debut's Arsenal away, and he has a worldie, and we go and beat them at the Emirates. So,
what dreams are made of.
But that is the situation. Vicario is out for, I guess it's probably going to be 3 months minimum, kicking the teeth to all of us. But we move forward and we see how it goes. Big Fraser Forster is going to be in goal from now until the end of December at the very least. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Can Spurs manoeuvre their way past this situation in a positive light? Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.